Hi everyone, my name is Philip and welcome to my project. This is part 10 of my solar powered crypto mining spa pool heater project. This part I'm going to strip the computer right down, mount it onto a mining frame and then install it into a dog kennel so I can run it outside and blast the hot air directly into the air intake of the spa pool heat pump. These are the components I've got for the next part of the build. I've got a mining rig that's come as a kit set. With much joy I see it has 0 instructions, so I have to just figure out how all these different bits and stuff all fit together. I've got a pack of half a dozen PCI risers, although I only need one of those today. I've got a HDMI dummy load plug, so I use TeamViewer to remotely connect to it, and what happens is when there's nothing plugged into the video output, it can be hard to bring it up because it doesn't think there's any monitor there to display, so this will think there's one there all the time. And then I picked up this plastic doghouse from Bunnings for 40 bucks on the weekend, and I've been trying it outside for a couple of days in the wind and the rain, and just watching for condensation and water ingress and things like that, and it's stayed completely dry inside of there, so this will be a good enclosure for using it outdoors. The doghouse has a removable roof and floor, and I've just taken the roof off it for the moment. It has this vented vent on the back of it, and it just happens to be 120 millimeters, the same size as a computer case fan. It has vents on both sides, and then obviously the entrance. In the entrance I'm planning on mounting the radiator and the exhaust fans blowing straight out. If it all goes well, then eventually I'll probably put two radiators in, which will block up most of this opening, just leaving a little gap. Now for the next challenge, how to assemble this mining frame. So we've got what looks like to be a power button, so that one's very simple. I've got a bag with a lot of different screws and fittings. Some short rods, a long rod, all right. These two bits, which must make up the sides mostly, and the base. I'm guessing we're going to have the base probably facing down. There's a million screw holes. I can see a line of these things. I'm going to guess this is for cable ties. I don't know for sure. I'm going to guess all these different holes are to fit motherboards. So I'm thinking the motherboard will probably go around here. And that would mean the power supply would go over here, and then if all the cables come out the back, then you'd cable tie them down. So I think I'm going to start assembly based off that idea. Alright, so if the cables are going to be at the back, that means the front of the GPU will be here and the back will be here. So the front is higher, so that would mean we'd need this piece on the front, and this piece must go on the back then. So I think maybe we'll just start on those two bits and then figure out the next piece. Okay, all the screws look like they're the same size for me, and I can see these have 2 screw holes here, and the case has got 2, so that'll need 4 to fix that one into there. Okay, and it's got another screw hole there as well. So 3 screw holes for each one, 3 screws needed for each one. Oh yep, that looks like that's working. So far so good. I got a feeling I might end up having to take this apart a few times as I just learn it, but we'll see how we go. Oh. Okay, that is a different kind of head. So there are two different kinds of screws, so I'll stick to using this kind for the moment. Okay, now the front. Looks like it's going to use the same 3-screw system as well. All right, let's get a bunch more of these. All right, lucky last for this one. All right, I've played around with these struts and stuff. They're just held in by pressing at the moment. And I think putting this one on the inside of these two, that one on the inside of this two, and this one in between, I think it looks like that might be the way it's intended to go together. That one's got a bit of a bend. All right, so I think I'll just put that back in again, and then try sinking those screws in. So I think the top of the PCI card will fit here, and there's lots of screw holes here. It'll come down and sit down, and then the PCI riser will go in here. All right, let's start putting these in, and then we'll see how we go. Yep, there's some holes here that line up. Another two more on this side. All right, we'll do the same thing around here. Oh. Not far away from having the frame assembled. Alright, need a small number of those extra screws. Alright, that just leaves this centre strut. I'm not exactly, it can only line up with one set of holes here, so I'm going to try lining up the holes furthest to the back here. I'm not really sure whether that's right or not yet, but we'll just have to try it and see how it works out. Okay, I think that's about all we can do until we're ready to start transplanting the existing computer onto the new mining rig. Upon looking at this further, I realised I can't have had this right. This centre bar here is the same length as this piece in here, and I had these two struts on the inside, and because it's the same length and this was on the inside, it was actually causing these two to bow out slightly. So I've taken both of these bits off that were attached to the inside, flipped them round, and they're now screwed in and attached on the outside. And then this long piece here, I've just fixed it to one of the 4 holes. Now the case is looking much more straight. So we'll have another try and see how that works out. Okay, we're in another day now. And today I'm going to be taking everything out of the existing computer case and then figuring out how to remount everything into this mining frame. I'm going to start by draining the cooling fluid out. So I'll be draining the fluid out into a spare container, and I'll crack open one of the ports up here to let some air into the system. That's got quite a bit of the fluid out. I'll take out the main, the outlet from the pump is this pipe here that goes into the GPU card. So I'll take this one off next, and that'll drain another whole bunch of fluid. Well, that's the easy bit done. Everything's pulled apart. Now for the hard part, putting it all back together again and getting it going. I'm going to start by doing a few trial placements of the kit in the mining frame, just to sort of see what it looks like will loosely work out, and then once that's figured out, we'll start trying to actually put it back together again. After a lot of playing around, I've ended up with a layout that's going to look like this. Finding out how to mount the motherboard was the hardest bit, but this is a standard ATX motherboard and it's got 2 screw holes here, and there's only 2 screw holes that are close enough on the rig, so the motherboard has to fit in those 2. And yeah, and then the fan and the power supply seem to fit in here nicely. So now I'll mount the motherboard first because there's no choice where that goes because of where the holes are, and then I'll slowly work away on putting the other components back in. Okay, now I need to have a think about how these cooling fans are going to work a bit more. So I need the airflow to push through in that direction, so it vents out that way, the hot air. And I think it's going to be easier to put the fans on this side of the radiator. Now I need to flip the fans over because the airflow's that way, so they need to come off and go back on that side. Now also the inlet and outlet pipes are on this side too, so that's all clear of the motherboard. So I think that layout's going to work quite well. Now I've just got to rip the whole radiator apart, the fans off the radiator, and flip this all around again. None of the screw holes quite line up nicely to screw the fans in here, so I think I'll take this plate off and I'll move it up a little bit, and then the top holes, I'll drill holes into this bar, and then I can bolt the fans to it, and that'll also uncover the fans a little bit. So let's see how that goes. Okay, I'm just going to mark out where I'm going to drill some holes into this plate so we can screw it all together. Okay, I'll come back after I've drilled those babies out. Okay, I've modified the bar now, putting 2 extra holes in the middle. So let's reassemble everything and see if it'll all work out. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. It feels pretty solid in there now. So I guess it might be time to start considering the pump. Okay, just playing with some layouts here, so I could put the GPU's obviously got to go along there. Now with a reservoir, you really want the reservoir to be the highest point in the system if you can, so that when air forms, it forms up here, not in the cooling system. And I'm kind of thinking if I drill some more holes into the chassis, I could probably bolt it there. The other slightly nice thing, if there's ever a bit of an incident with the water, at least it'll drain away. I have had a try at trying to put it in here as well, but it this piece is just too long and it doesn't actually manage to bolt in. I guess I could also look at an option over here. I know that piece is too narrow to take that. And I need to also consider that's the water outlet, so I need to keep that one, but I need to give this some more consideration. So I'll come back soon. Okay, I've now reconfigured the pump so that the inlet and outlet is now on the same side as the bracket, and I've moved the power cables and stuff so they don't come off the back side. So my thoughts are, if I drill 3 holes, well, there's actually one I can probably reuse, drill 2 more holes, and then it can mount there, and the pipework can just come out over there, and then if there's ever a bit of a leak, it's able to be, it'll just run down the side. I can probably put I've got a drain plug available on the side there too if I need to do servicing. So all right, I'll go make some more holes and then come back. The chassis's got some extra holes in it, so let's see how we get on this time. Yay, we finally have all the major parts mounted. Now it's going to be over to all the cabling and then finally the plumbing. I thought I'd finally finished mounting everything, so I took a break, and then when I came back I remembered I hadn't mounted the SSD drive yet. So I was thinking of a couple of places I could put it. Maybe I could put it in here somewhere, but when I tested it, these cables, you can plug them in, but then they have a locking tab on the bottom you press to get them out, and so that would make that very hard. So I've pretty much decided I'm going to put it on the side here. So I've already gone and pre-drilled a couple of holes. In fact, I only need 1 hole, but I thought I just might as well start putting in extra holes now, because I've had to drill so many holes now. So we'll get this all mounted and in place. Now everything's mounted. Now I've got to finally start doing all the cabling and then all the plumbing. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do about the cable management. I think for all of the cables I'm not going to use, I'm just going to cable tie them up close to wherever they are. Okay, I think I'll start trying to put the GPU in now and power in those cables as well. Okay, now I'm going to do fill the water system. So when I do this, I use a separate power supply, and the normal cord that goes to the motherboard, I just have a little loop for the power on button, so it'll turn on straight away. And I've just repatched the pump into this power supply, so it's the only thing that will power up. And then I just put a sheet of white paper over the motherboard, and that makes it really easy if there's any drops or leaks, so you can make it stand out. I'm hoping this is going to be the easiest one I've ever done, because the reservoir, this is the first time I've had one where the reservoir is completely above the loop, and it's also super easy to get access to this. So let's just start the process of filling it up. I'll just open up one of the ports. All right, let's chuck water in. So this usually takes a couple of cycles. So you fill it up, run it, and then the air will drain out, and then you fill it up again and just keep repeating that process. Okay. I realised while I was filling it, I still had the tube in it. I've never been lucky enough just to be able to use the bottom entry and exit, and I usually have to have the water come back in here. Well, not the water, the cooling mixture come back here, and so you need one of these in it. So I've taken that out. So I'm just going to leave this running for quite some time now. I can still see there's quite a bit of air in the system, and so I'll watch that, waiting for the air to escape and watching for drips. I was feeling pretty pleased with myself there. Pretty much all the bubbles were gone, there was 0 leaks, it looked like everything was working for the first time. And then I realised I haven't plumbed in the radiator. That's the whole point of water cooling. So I've drained the whole system again, and let's go and fix up that error. So this is the water return from the GPU card. So he can just go straight into the radiator here. We'll screw him up. He's probably a bit longer than he needs to be, that pipe now. Oh, this pipe's filling up with fluid. All right, I'm just going to leave him in place now. Maybe I'll put a shorter one in. All right, when I've moved this pipe down, I can see fluid has filled it again. So when I pull this off, it's going to, oh, actually maybe I'll just tip it. It's going to pull out a whole lot of fluid. Is going to come out all of a sudden. All right, he's been okay. A little bit coming out the bottom of the radiator, so I'll just quickly mop that up. All right, I think that pipe's mostly emptied. I think I'll actually put a shorter pipe on this one now. Oh, this is all turning tricky. Oh, maybe I'll just trim them down. Oh, this is not going well. It did not make a nice clean edge. All right, I might cut a bit more off that and try and do a cleaner edge this time. That's much better. All right, get that fitting nice and tight. All right, he can push in here now. Got the fitting on the long way around. Oh, this has gone from being perfect to troublesome. Never mind, a little bit more fluid leaked out there. I'll probably dry this off with a hair dryer. Now I've had a small amount of leakages. And then I left the fitting off for the other end. Alright, so I need one that way, one that way. No joy, I just cut myself. Let me just try and get this one on, and then I'll go clean everything up. Alright, so he'll do up now. He'll do up on the other end. And And then I think I'll just use the return port from the radiator here to this side instead. Alright, so I went away, I had a little break for a while. Right, I've come back, I've got the radiator plumbed in, I've now ran the system for a while, all the air bubbles are gone, and there's no leaks. So we're ready to carry back on. I think my next step will be to do a test power up of the system now, and then if that works, we'll tidy it up. Okay, good start so far. Only one of the fans is running, so let me just trace the cables for that. One of the fan PWM cable wasn't plugged in, so let's have another go at powering it up and see if we get both fans going now. I realised too we haven't plugged in the PCI riser yet, so I'll have to do that next. Yep, that looks better. Alright, let's get this PCI riser in. I just realised I need another power cable again for the PCI riser, so let me get that all patched in and connected to the card and the motherboard. Okay, so I'm going to power the system up now, and then this is a headless system, so I'm just going to go and then connect with the remote control system and see if all the see if the card's recognised and everything starts running. But looking good so far. The computer started up good and it's mining at the moment. I'm going to leave it mining for maybe 20 minutes or so just to make sure it's stable, doesn't get over hot or crash. While that's doing that, I think I might mount the case fan to the dog kennel. Now I'm going to mount the case fan to the dog kennel, and so the airflow goes that way, and I'm going to have the air flowing through the dog kennel this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark where I want it to go, just using a sharp screwdriver, and then I'll drill some holes and bolt it in place. All right, I'll go drill those holes out. Okay, I had it mining for a while and it's going good. Now it's time to tidy up the cabling a bit. The cable ties I have are too small for the bulk of the cable, so I'll just proceed with getting it into the dog kennel for the moment, and then I'll wait till I've got some larger cable ties later on to tidy it up. Now it's time to mount the crypto rig into the dog kennel, connect up the fan and test it out. Okay, I got it set up outside now to chuck on the roof. Okay, everything's set up and it's now blasting its warm air into the air intake on the heat pump to the spa pool, so we'll see how that goes after a day or two. I've had the crypto miner in the dog house outside for about a week now. I've seen some really spectacular temperatures overnight. Sometimes it gets down all the way down to 78 degrees Celsius, which is very cool. The spa itself, its energy consumption has only dropped by maybe 10%, so not really, I mean it's helped, but I wouldn't really call it very successful. So I've decided to take it next level and get a second GPU. So in the next video, that'll be all about the second GPU being installed. See you then, bye.